Strangers, take a look. You'll see.
I thought we sold our wedding gifts to pay for the rent.
No, no. We sold our wedding gifts so we could turn on the electricity.
Larry, it's cold. I need to keep warm. And you certainly haven't done anything lately to raise my body temperature.
Please welcome Melanie Wilson. Have a seat.
Thank you.
After looking at that jacket, I don't know whether to shake hands or salute. You look like an officer in something.
Well, no, maybe one day, who knows?
Yeah. Now, your dad was somebody that everybody knows, right? Who was?
Yes, he was. I know I'm on a couch of famous and funny fathers, but my dad is best known for being a commercial character for the last 25 years named Mr. Whipple.
Are you ready for that? Oh. This is Mr. Whipple's daughter. So now you're the daughter of Mr. Whipple, and he was, I mean, he did a lot of wonderful things in his career, but this is probably the thing that most people definitely attach to him.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, he's kind of the king of paper, we call him.
Well, no, but you figure that you must have a warehouse full of Charmin somewhere.
You know, they would send it to us every month, big crates of it. It's nothing to be proud of, but it's true. It happened. It's a small career.
Did you just give it to family and friends and things, or
had I known you, Chuck, at that point in time, you would have been taken care of.
We got a bunch at home. We could certainly use it, yeah. What was it like now growing up with your dad?
Well, it was great. I mean, my dad is a wonderful character actor, which, of course, most people don't know because everyone identifies him with being Mr. Whipple. But when I was little growing up, he was the drunk on Bewitched. Whenever Darren and Samantha would fight, he would be the drunk at the bar. And in fact, when I first started school in kindergarten, the teacher had us all stand up our first day of school and say what our parents did for a living. So one little girl stood up and said, "My dad's a doctor," and one little boy stood up and said, "My dad's a dentist," and I stood up and I said, "My dad's a drunk."
And said it proudly, too.
We were proud. I mean, actors never work. You know, Dad had a steady job. We were thrilled to death.
So had a job being a drunk.
That's right. So he had a new job of going in and talking to the principal of my elementary school and explaining that, no, he had no problems.
Oh, that's cute. That's sweet, though,
yeah.
But I would imagine your dad with all of the people that he knew and growing up, especially in that era, the Jack Benny and those people, because I know he did those shows and things. Were there a lot of people, very famous people around the house when you were growing up?
My dad started in vaudeville, and based on some of the jokes he told us at the dinner table, we understand why it died. It was scary jokes. Yeah. But yeah, my dad had a lot of different friends in the business, which is why I think it's really been a benefit to be raised in Hollywood, you know, because you don't have any strange ideas of what the business is going to do for you. But some of my dad's friends, I mean, he hung out with people like Ernie Borgnine and Shirley MacLaine, and Eddie Foy, who was one of the 7 Little Foys, was my dad's best friend. And it's rumored that Warren Beatty used to bounce me on his knee when I was 5. It's about 20 years too early, but still, he did.
Yeah, no, make that 15. just a figure, yeah. I bet you, Chris, I would imagine you probably grew up with.
No, I was in Arizona.
All the time.
Yeah,
you
the whole time.
Oh, you did
Stayed
not.
In no, I was here. Sure, yeah. There was a couple of times I, was in and around. I really wasn't a Hollywood kid though. I grew up on the beach in Santa Monica, and then moved to Arizona. Was down in Mexico, living in Florida. Came back to Cal. It's like you said, Dad kept me as far away as possible.
As far away as possible.
I had Louis the Lip and Gyp the Blood in my house.
All those famous Philadelphia characters.
Famous gangsters, yeah.
My husband is from Philadelphia, and he wanted me to say that Philly says hi, because he was very excited that you were here today, David.
Great.
Those Philly boys, they stick together, you know? They really do.
We had to defend ourselves.
That's right.
Tell me about your first television appearance. It was with your dad, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, actually, my first television appearance, my mother was a dancer. My mother was a dancer who did the Ed Sullivan Show 5 times as a solo dancer, and she did a lot of entertaining during the war. So did my father. They met when they were entertaining troops in Korea and fell in love there and then got married. But my mother was not only a dancer, she was an actress, and I made my first appearance when she was 5 months pregnant with me on Dennis the Menace. I don't know if it counts.
No, I don't. Well, sure it does. You were there.
Well, I think it had something to do with...
We just didn't recognize you.
Thank you. Thank you.
But you then went on and did a commercial with your dad or something, didn't you?
The first commercial I ever did was with my father. I did a Charmin commercial. I didn't have a lot to do with it. In it, I was a shopper. Yeah. And we kind of kept it that way.
But you got paid for it.
I loved that part. I loved that.
Now, you originally in Perfect Strangers, you were just supposed to come on as like a guest star role, right?
Yeah, exactly. I went in to do one episode just thinking it was just one guest starring role, and it was really a fun week, and I loved doing the show, and there was a really good rapport with Mark and Bronson, and so thankfully they had me come back for a few more episodes.
Come back.
Well, I've been kind of coming back for about 6 seasons
That's
now.
right.
So,
You're really coming back.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
And you really play a straight man. I mean, that's it.
Well, there are two blondes on our show. A wonderful actress named Rebecca Arthur plays Mary Ann, and I play Jennifer. And we're both blondes, but by television standards, I'm the smart one. So I'm the TV brunette. That's what I call myself. You know, on television, the blonde is always an idiot, and the brunette is always smart and has all the answers. And so I'm kind of...
Gee, I never knew that. I've been watching all these years, and I didn't realize that was a well, anyway.
It seems to be kind of a television thing.
I know a little bit about your husband, and well, just a little bit from what I've heard and things. And when you first met, you didn't have a very good impression of him, did you?
I hated him. I hated him. We met because one of the men who was on our show, the first season we were working, a guy named Ernie Sabella, wonderful actor, said, come on into my dressing room and meet a friend of mine. So I walked into his dressing room, 2 steps up into this little bungalow, and there sits Joe, and I started
His
talking.
name really isn't Joe. We'll just call him Joe for these purposes of the show.
To protect the innest. This poor man, he's not getting out of this interview well, is he? Anyway, Joe was sitting there, and I started stuttering and stammering, and I turned to walk out of the dressing room and tripped and fell down the dressing room steps and shut the door, and I thought, that guy's a real jerk, and I forgot about him. I just thought, he's an idiot. So actually, I had been the idiot, but about 4 or 5 months later, I needed work done on my house, and he's a contractor. And so my friend said, oh, you know, why don't you hire Joe? And I said, well, who's that? He said, you met him in my dressing room. I said, if you think for 1 minute I would hire that guy who thinks he's God's gift to the earth, you've got another thing
What
coming.
made you hire him? You obviously must have.
Well, Ernie talked me into it. And he did such good work, I had to marry him.
So you really fell in love with him while he was working on your house?
I did.
Oh, isn't that great?
I
What a
did,
nice story.
yeah. You know, had I known this, I could have saved myself a lot of money on that closet job.
Well,
But
that's okay. Yeah. It's nice to have you here, Melanie. It really is.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to
It's
come
great
right
to be
back
here.
right after this
Thanks.
commercial. Stay with us.